Today we're going to create the scene anime hairstyle. So I'm going to show you how to cut, color, and style this hair from start to finish. Let's go. Start with sectioning. So take a triangle section in the front of the head to separate the bangs. The section will be narrow at the top and then get as wide as the outer corners of the eye. Take a comb and just place it on the outer corners, then rock it up the head to find that parting, but that'll give you your fringe section. So take a horizontal parting from the point where the bangs end, and then work your way all around the head to take a horseshoe shape. And that'll separate the crown and the top from the back and the sides. I think it's easier to take these partings when you comb the hair in the direction you're parting. So as you think about taking the horseshoe shape section, comb the hair back away from the face first, and then you can start to take your parting around the head, and it'll make it easier. Once you're happy with your section, you can just wrap it in a knot and isolate it away. We're gonna start this cut in the front, so I would recommend just taking a clip and getting the sides and back clipped to the back. Start in the bang section, turn to the side. Now we're just gonna layer the bangs. Okay. Once you find that short guide in the center, just carve from short to long. And it's gonna create some layering. Just even by doing that, look what you have. So when we were holding it at the side, all that hair was being combed to center. And once we're in the center section, just carve from short to long until you're happy with the length and the weight. And already when it's wet, you can see how cute the shape is. The next step is to blend the sides and bottom, and we'll start with the side. So just take a vertical parting to separate the front and the back. So you'll see where the long part of the bang is. Pull the section to the guide. Now all we have to do is draw from that guide down to the length. Make sure you keep all of that length. So I'll even kind of disconnect it a little bit just so I can make sure to keep all of that length. But we just wanted to add a little bit of movement right at the top. The thing is, if you blend it all the way down, you might cut off some of that length. So I kind of bail out maybe about towards the last third of the hair. If you feel like there's a disconnect between those short layers and the long layers, you can comb the hair into natural fall and then just gently blend the two sections just in the front area. The goal is to make sure that you don't cut too much hair by the ear. So let's do the same thing on the other side. Now I think it's really important to do this step because you might be wondering, couldn't I just disconnect the bangs and then, just not even have any of those layers going down to the face? And you definitely could, but I think it just gives it a little bit more connection, especially if you ever put the hair up, or if you want to, have a little bit more movement by the face. It gives some fun face framing layers and just a little bit more dimension to the overall cut. And don't forget when you're blending that front section, just to comb the hair into natural fall so you don't cut the hair that's by the ear. You can also pull it forward slightly and that'll maintain some of that length naturally. Before blending the back end, just check that you're happy with the balance in the front. You can also just hold those pieces in the center and then just even them out as needed. So you can already see that cute kind of wolf face frame going on here. And the bangs are already looking really pretty as they dry. But you want to look for those kind of pieces that are starting to kick into the face, because that's the softness that we want from this haircut. For the back, I'm just splitting the hair in half, so you can push that forward, and then comb that section to the front. What we're going to do is we're going to take a small part of that back, and then we're going to drop most of it out. So you see how we're leaving enough hair over the ear that we're not going to cut? That's going to be our disconnected section. Now the rest of this back, all we have to do is comb it into that face framing layering we created, and then just go ahead and blend that in. You should already be able to follow your guide from the front, and then watch. As you comb it out, it'll be short into long, so it gets longer to the back, and you'll have these nice disconnected layers sitting on top of your length. I like this because it's an easier way to get the long wolf tails haircut. You already have some of those layers disconnecting, but the over direction keeps it soft. Just repeat the same motion. So again, we're going to look to disconnect some of the bottom of that section, so that'll protect all of that length by the ear. And then pull the hair forward, Find where the face framing starts and simply connect to the guide. Watch when you comb that out, short to long. It gives a really nice shaggy look that actually air dries beautifully as well. The key is just having the shape cut in properly so that the hair doesn't need to be overly styled to get a cool look. Protect the back and sides just by clipping them away, and then we can release the top section. Now the first step is to take a center guide section. So just imagine drawing a line going down the length of the head, but that will be our guide section. Comb that guide to the front and then find the guide from your bang. It should be on the top of that section. And once you find that, you can just carve layers that work from short to long. And you can see if you lose control of the section, just recomb that section and continue from there. Just imagine drawing a vertical line from that guide up to the length. If you're working on your clients, you can just hold it to the front and then just create your vertical line from there. And now it's just a matter of taking these subsections and then combing them into the guide. You're just combing the sections to that center guide and then connecting. You'll be able to see where the hair begins to drop out, and that'll tell you where to start doing your razoring. This is going to keep a lot of that fullness in the front too, so you're not going to make it too thin when you do something like this. And when you comb the hair back, it'll just have a really nice flow, and this is going to give us a lot of fluffiness when we go to style the hair. So I'm just recombing the guide section. You can take that hair, pull it forward. Once you find the guide from the bangs, just connect to the guide. Check your line, looks good. Clean out these little hairs. I actually did that in one cut instead of many, but you can take subsections if it's easier for you, but you'll still get that same short to long effect working towards the back. Now, if you want to add even more texture, you can always go in and just take some channels of weight away with the razor. Just combing them to where they were cut initially, and then just going in with the razor and slicing some weight away, but still keeping this length. So as I comb it out, it's just channels of weight we're taking away, not the rest of the length. Here, pull that forward. Don't be afraid. If you leave the hair too thick, it's not going to do what you want it to do anyway, so just make sure you texturize it enough to where you can create a softer effect. Now, just to make sure the disconnection still feels really soft, I'm combing the length up, finding where that disconnect ends, and then just softly creating some layering in the center back. So that's going to maintain more length and more weight towards this outer area, but it'll help blend in that back area so it doesn't feel like a disconnected bowl or anything. So this is the hair after it's cut. So this is just while it's wet and kind of drying naturally. It's really fun because you can actually tuck that hair and have a beautiful dropout. So you get that nice kind of fang or feather that's pushing towards the face. We're gonna do a little bit of hair color, so I'm gonna dry the hair just kind of quickly so you can see the shape, and then we'll get into some color and then do some final styling. So here's the hair after a quick blow dry. You can see it has a lot of layers, so it's feeling very shaggy, and we just put a little hairspray in it to kind of show you all the layers, but this is what you can expect without a lot of styling. I didn't do any flat ironing. It was just a quick rough dry and then a little bit of a round brush and then just some hairspray. But I wanted to show you the style because we're going to go in and color the tips. So we need to see the shape first before we color, because now we're going to apply peach on the tips to really make these layers stand out and look a little bit edgier. And even the back, you can see with the way that we cut it, it has a nice blend. We do have the disconnected layers on the crown, but they fall really softly into the rest of the hair. So you don't have to worry about any sort of weird lines going on in the back. It's just very whimsical, layery, and airy. So we're gonna color the tips with Pulp Riot Desert Sky. Now I recommend spraying the hair down as you do this color application. It's gonna make it easier to apply the color on the tips and get it to blend. Work your way from top to bottom. So you're just gonna pull those sections forward and then apply the color to the tips. One thing you can do to really help with the blend is make sure that as you're applying the color, you're lifting the hair up. So you're going to get kind of a natural feeling for the blend of that color. This color is pretty light, so it shouldn't stain the skin, but you can protect and separate the sections just by laying a foil down. Here's what that first section looked like from the back. and then it was just pulled forward. So let's take our next section, just with a horizontal parting to separate the hair. I like to do the back in about 3 to 4 sections, depending on the density. But what's really important is that you understand the more sections you color, the more blended it's all going to look. So if you want it to feel edgier, it's sometimes actually better to do fewer sections because you'll get a chunkier result. If you do one side and then go through and do the other, it'll be a lot harder to achieve that side-to-side balance. So work from top to bottom and then from, side to side, just so you can keep yourself on track and you can keep the sides pretty symmetrical with the color application. So if you comb that hair vertically, your color application will actually fall in that vertical line. But it's really just like applying foils. Like, the direction of your application makes a difference in the end result. But you can see here by combing it, we're getting elevation as well as over direction so that it's gonna feel really soft, but still kind of graphic as it falls down. Now getting into the side application, you can actually just split the sides in half because you're gonna have shorter layers and longer layers. So get the shorter layers out of the way, comb the longer layers forward to the front, and then start applying your tips. Try not to work the color in too much. The pigments will just kind of lay there once they're applied. But the more you work the color, the more it'll lather and actually remove itself. So it's actually okay to do that by the edges where you want to blend it, but where you want full saturation of color, just try to apply the color and saturate it rather than trying to massage it in so much. And this is why it's good to do it while the hair is wet, because it's also much more forgiving. Because if the hair is dry, there's a lot more chances for that color to spread, especially up higher than you want it. So doing the wet application gives you a lot more flexibility and safety when you're applying your hair color. And it's just way more forgiving. And again, see how I got that little bit of color bead up there? Not good. If you're thinking about doing this in a different color combination, some combos I like would be like black and red, black and blue, or if you want to go light to dark, pink into black is really cool. White into black is really cool. Natural silver into black. There's so many ways to use this technique, even if you don't have light golden blonde hair, and even if you don't want specifically peach colored tips. So try to think about what you can do with this for yourself, because maybe your color is completely different, but you could still do this technique and get a really fun end result. I love seeing the dimension between the color and the blonde. So while I'm applying, I'm constantly looking out to see if I still have that dimension. See how this doesn't feel like I was able to blend it as much? You can just pick up that small piece and then just work on that manually. There you go. Now, as we move into these top layers, I'm only coloring the tips that go below the eye level. So just around the eyes. The haircut's done, color's done, all that's left is to rinse and style. So pulp rag you can process as long as you want because there's no real developer or chemicals going on. I'm gonna leave it on for probably 20 to 30 minutes. So I'm gonna go down the street and get a bowl of ramen, and then we'll rinse her off, and then I'll show you how to style this haircut. So we just rinsed out the color, and you can see those fun peachy tips moving in from the golden blonde. But I did want to kind of highlight how I do think that the color is almost as important as the cut, because you could kind of see that the cut was cool, but it was just one-dimensional, and it could almost look a little old-fashioned if you're not careful. But once you add the color, it kind of takes it to another level and makes sure that it feels edgy and kind of like modern. So definitely like color is almost as important as the cut. If you're thinking about getting something like this, I would also think about what you're gonna do with the color to make it look modern.
So I'm gonna use the Kenra Platinum Blow Dry Spray. This is a good heat protection for just getting a soft finish to the hair without having any hold, but it also helps speed up the blow dry as well as protect the color from heat. You're gonna dry the hair until it's about 85% dry, just with the dryer in your hands.
And then you can polish the ends with a round brush. And you can use your fingers to mold the hair into place as you dry as well. So while the hair is cooling, you can actually shape the hair with your fingers and it'll help set the style. Now we're just finishing off the styling with a flat iron. So you can just use the iron to curl the hair as needed. So by the face, I like to curl the ends in, and then I'll kind of just like warm up the bangs and mold them with my fingers to get them to curve the right way. because it's more about using the heat to kind of shape it now rather than just trying to press everything flat. So you just want to create some of those flips. Just flip the ends out in layers because you want them to stack on each other and then get higher so you get that volume. Just make sure it feels flippy and fun. That's the point. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to feel fun. Now it looks a little chaotic right now, but we're gonna add some of the Kenra Dry Texture Spray. Really just applying it all through the hair so that the ends get a little bit grittier and kind of pieced together nicely. Focus on the spikes too to make them a little bit piecier. And make sure all the ends are spiking and clumping together. So just place the strands where you want them to go, add your texture spray, and it'll be a lot of fun.